I just want to share the outcome of my proposed collaboration with the different groups that are running that kind of breeding programs. And of course, it was a short collaboration because they were all about, oh yeah, we'll use technology. And I just said, yeah, I don't use technology. So, and I also recommended the easy peasy solution. You remove all of the technology that are upholding these programs, remove the symbol of the racial grids, and then you kind of get that technology out of people. It's very easy if they would do so, use their technology actually to clean up our reality field. That would be permitted. It's only when we do the personal work that we don't rely on technology, because we know the LPU is based upon technology, the humanoid races are based upon technology, and the third cycle were based upon technology. Hence, those of us of the D14 collective, we chose to do differently. Just to remind you, it's all in the course material, so you'll get that understanding as you progress and move further deeper into the course material. So what was the outcome? So they kind of pulled out because they always want to keep a back door open. They never want to do the full clearing. They always want to keep, I'll keep a little bit of technology here and there and what have you. So of course, that was quickly off the table again, because I just said, well, do that technology and you will have cleared the breeding programs of humans inside the enclosure. So, and they didn't want to do that, so that ended the proposed collaboration, including they wanted me to do a contract, and I said, no thank you, I'm not doing contracts with you. So off with that one. But that's how it usually goes, and for those of you who are unskilled in dealing with the other groups that are on our planet, you should not do this. Do not do this at home. But for me, this is how I get information, and sometimes I get into some really serious trouble, which I then have to deal with and clear out as my encounters in Australia and some of the programs I saw there. But it led me to reminding me of certain things, because they began putting energy into me. So it reminded me of some things that I know and knew with the Tarology material, but in a way I've forgotten again, because the Tarology, I wrote that one in 2016. Sorry if I'm a little bit sounding exhausted, because as I did the last video, I began dancing, and then I put on a tune that were high impact, and then I just felt, oh wow, I got so much more energy. So I went out running and doing high impact. I literally danced out on the street for half an hour, and that was how I used to do in Australia. I used to really go out when it was hot and exercise extensively. That's the best I know. You really get sweaty and dripping and exhausted, and then the sun is baking you. I know it sounds crazy, right? Who wants to do that? But that's how it goes when you get rid of the energetic parasites, and you get more energy. You need to put it into something, which leads me to the next step. It leads me to, when we talk about males have more energy than females. We know that their skin is thicker, they are engineered in a different way. Their Y chromosome, or the tria chromosome, or the triangle chromosome, you decide how you want to put it, is insectoidally based in the scrotum area. Links to the triangle technology, I explained that in Tarology. And as long as the male is using the Y chromosome mental features, then that insectoid typogenetics is running with the worker breeding program. They have insectoid kind of beetle ant insectoid typogenetics that leads them to being workers, and at the same time they're also being breeders, but not in the same way as females are, because females have mammal genetics in the heart field that leads them to oxytocin production. But males are led to adrenaline production, which are what the gonads are doing due to the insectoid genetics. That gives them a piece of aggression that leads to the enabling them to have what we call rhabdoid genetics in their heart field, which then leads to a specific type of conquering aggressive modality of the amygdala, and how the brain works in general, leading males to often have what we could say, when they have excess energy and they're not putting it into exercise, they can easily be thrown off, get aggressive, and activate that burning, aggressive sensation in their heart field, which then leads to a lot of very strange thoughts in the mind field that then do the biofeedback loop down to actually amplifying the negative sexual energy, which then can lead to some very unfortunate side effects. So the solution is, and that's why in the whole advanced psychotherapy, I put the video of that insectoid type of guy that had this high level of energy, very active. You saw it in the, actually, the Changemaker, right? Movie about that was made about the high performance elites that turned vegan. Many of them had a lot of energy, and then they began some really serious exercise. And we're here talking 3 or 4 hours a day. Serious exercise, not just this little 30 minutes. But for males with that high activity level, they need to really get rid of this, all of this excess energy into what we could call some kind of everyday exercise program. And then once that is done, do lift whatever they have purified, because they need to purify while they're exercising. And then white genetics, get rid of the insectoid genetics in the scrotum area, get rid of the reptoid, regressed scavenger, lower level reptoid genetics of the heart field, clear that one out, and then begin pushing the everyday work and the energy work and meditation and mindfulness towards what we call creational projects, where the focus will be on how can I actually help others, not as the protector, but as in kind of what I create, engineer, put into some kind of performance that leads to some kind of business, or doing as much as possible, but doing it in an honorable way, doing it in a way that leads to not bending the rules, not trying to jump fences, not trying to find the shortcuts, but are doing it the right way, following the laws, not do these semi-devious schemes that quick fix, earn a lot of shit money, and then do things that you males know is wrong. I know you know it's wrong. I've heard it so many times. You're saying after, I knew it was wrong. Yeah, why the fuck did you do it then? Stop doing it. Stop yourself. Go out, exercise, calm down, find the better ways, meditate, find the better solution, do the reframing, the clearing of your energy work, and begin to work with the rules of engagement as well as the principles of the Pillar Project, of how you develop yourself, and put your focus on that. So you shift from the third cycle, insectoid, reptoid, the dark type of energy configuration, and move towards the X chromosomal, where you begin to connect to the mammal genetics, which are also to be cleared out just as when we go into the female, and the avian genetics that are connected to that. But that needs to be cleared out as well. That's linked to the X chromosome, both the males and females. That ties us to what we say some of the unfortunate events that took part of the second cycle. I talk a little bit about how the mammals fell in the reconstruction of the Planetary Soul book. But there is more to it, but there I just began to tap into it. So the whole point is to learn to create more oxytocin instead of adrenaline. Okay, we're talking electrochemical processes here. So look at your body as a very effective machine. How do you oil it so it works correctly? So that's what you have to figure out. How much exercise do you need to do? And I know many of you, when you begin this, you will generate more sexual energy to begin with, and that's going to be difficult. But you do clearing work. I remember when I began working that triangle in my physical form, sometimes I had to be in that deep state energy work session clearing modality, where I was working more or less an entire day, and I saw all the horror shows and all the stuff of the second cycle that linked to the female body. But I endured, I kept doing it. When we talk about the female, then we have also insectoid genetics in the triangle that is connected to our ovaries, as well as the high sensitivity that we have in our genitals, which males don't have. To the same degree. And then we are connected to the mammal in the heart field, and all of that sensing down there is to actually produce oxytocin. So we tie ourselves to the males when they penetrate and when they are activating that area in sexual encounters. So this is also when we talk about, okay, the reason why we shouldn't have sexual encounters. Males are penetrating to get that oxytocin from the female because they can't produce it themselves due to the rhabdoid genetics in the heart field. So that's the shift that males need to figure out, okay, how do they actually clear out this on their own? This is one way to work with it, but it all comes down to all of the spiritual teaching systems are oriented towards males to create compassion. That's the X chromosome, to get that kick-started. Oxytocin, which many males don't have. They can produce it, absolutely. Science tells us it's not impossible. That is what ties, that's what bonds people together. That's the connection hormone. Females produce it a lot because we have mammal genetics in our heart field. We also have avian genetics. That puts us into this little bit of fright and fright mode, actually. So our amygdala will choose to the flight mode, whereas the males will choose the fight mode due to their rhabdoid genetics. So this is how we are engineered. So the females in our clearing work is, of course, to clear our heart field of the mammal avian genetics and get it into being the vibrational field where we work with the reality sciences as we originally part of the D14 collective, and what the X chromosome should have been in the times of Lemuria, where we have the highest version of the X chromosome in the fourth cycle, actually. That are linked to females. Males are oriented more towards what was the reseeding after the fall of Atlantis. So again, we're saying here, well, the males have definitely got problems with these types of genetics, but it goes with the males are technically engineered to clear out for the humanoids, whereas the females are to maintain and keep what we call a kind of imprint of the original progressive races. It's all false, it's bullshit. It's not that we have got more activation potentials that males have per se, but we do have remnant genetics, replicates of the original mammal and the original true human genetics in us. That's why we can produce offspring. Okay, so that was just kind of a little bit put in there. Females will definitely also do well once they shift out all this mammal oxytocin. I need to connect to another human being and be connected to someone else that tells me how beautiful and nice and kind I am, and learn to rest in our own energy and be solidified and stand really in our own sphere of energy. We will then understand, okay, I'm conquering my own space, so to speak. I'm conquering my own body, not as in being, oh yeah, go out and have control of my sexuality. On the contrary, we are working against all of these base programs and go in and figure out, okay, what are my psychological strengths? What is my creational projects? How can I change both myself but also my surroundings, not just being the housewife and the caretaker or whatever. Get out of these programs and figure out what can you contribute within this world. You're more than just a breeder and a woman and an object for men's desires. You've got so much more potentials. Figure out what that is. And exercise can help you to cross some of these barriers. Oh, I can't do that, or oh, I'm too weak to do that. When you really get up and kicking, you begin to understand how you can utilize your true life force in a different way. And most of the time, females get heightened sexual activity as well. But there you need to clear that too, and just understand, well, that's a phase where you clear out what we say the insectoid genetics, because the more you use the insectoid genetics that are connected to our CG chromosomal DNA, as it is in males as well, the more energy we get. But we need to use that energy to clear out the insectoid level in us, the busy bees, right? And get into what we call a more balanced use of the energies that we have in our body, and how we utilize that into productivity and how we utilize that into a high performance rate. That's how we change these features. Freud talks about a subliminal of the sexual energies into productiveness instead of sexual fantasies, which just amplifies the neural network in the brain to focus around the base program, sexuality programs that are put out there, highly amplified with all sorts of porn and stupid stuff in movies and whatever. We're surrounded by it, and we've got a lot of false information regarding that to keep the production running, right? So just wanted to put that one in here. So you kind of get this is a choice you're making, and letting go of that. And if you kind of get that's fearful and provoking, parasites, whenever you respond with fear, it's always a parasite that now know its time has come, it's time for it to let go. And you have a lot of them in your body. They're connected to most of your emotional fields, the 9 layers, they're full of it. They are the whole little universe in itself with all sorts of energetic parasites. And it goes for males and females, even though males have a different type, females have another type, but this is how it is. And we have it on both the Y chromosome and the X chromosome and the double X chromosome, because the double X chromosome are from 2 different fourth cycle, which I talk about both in the template science courses, but also in the path cutter material or the path cutter course. So just to sum up on that one, so you kind of think, oh, Randy's in that program using technology. No, it lasted 5 minutes, which it usually does. And then, of course, I'm clearing out the ramification of it. But you get the spillover here, reminding me of some things I actually thought about in 2016, which I have forgotten because, you know, we get wiped so much, so it's lost. So that's kind of what I got out of it, working on that one. I reminded myself, so to speak, being in the energy of these insectoids colonizing grays, whatever they were. They never really showed themselves. So just with that one, so you kind of get everyday life for Randy Green. But have a nice weekend. It's Friday, and see you next week. Take care.